The name of the establishment is the Army Catering Corps Training Center at Aldershot, Surrey, and the palate that all this food is aimed at belongs to the modern soldier.
Slicing, wrapping, all done by modern machinery. And every single loaf from this and every other sun-blessed bakery is sold within hours of leaving the oven.
Today, kids in America grow up with bagged potato chips and mass-produced soda. But from the 1940s to the 1980s, there was a whole generation that cheered for a 5-cent ice cream cone or dashed to the corner store just to grab a pack of colorful candy. Those snacks weren't just cheap. They were an entire world of childhood. Now most of them have vanished, living only in the memories of parents and grandparents. Do you want to open that time capsule with me? Here are 25 childhood snacks from America that disappeared, where the sweetness and memories of youth are still alive. 20. Bar None. The chocolate bar that had it all. Though it came later, Bar None quickly etched itself into the memories of American kids in the late 80s. Released by Hershey in 1987, this bar aimed high to pack everything you want into one. Covered in chocolate, filled with crunchy wafers, chocolate cream, and roasted peanuts, it felt more like a meal than a snack. Kids nicknamed it the candy bar that filled you up because, unlike lighter treats, Bar None was thick, dense, and rich. Its slogan promised all the goodness you want in a chocolate bar. But with Snickers and Kit Kat dominating the market, Bar None couldn't keep up and disappeared by the mid-90s. Fans still talk about it, and even petitions have surfaced asking for its return. Though it never came back, Bar None remains remembered as one of the most ambitious chocolate bars in American candy history. 19. Candy cigarettes, playing grown-up in the schoolyard. For decades, from the 1940s through the late 1980s, no American kid was a stranger to candy cigarettes. They were long, white sugar sticks packed in boxes, designed to look exactly like real Camel, Lucky Strike, or Marlboro packs. On the playground, kids would huddle together, holding a stick between their lips, puffing pretend smoke as white powder dust blew out, just like real smoke. That generation's memories are tied to the thrill of growing up fast. It wasn't just candy, it was role play, where a boy could be a Hollywood cowboy or a girl could mimic a glamorous starlet in a noir film. Candy makers even printed flashy designs to match the real cigarette packs, making the illusion even stronger. But the truth raised concerns. As anti-smoking campaigns grew in the late 70s, health experts and parents pushed back. Would candy cigarettes make kids more likely to try the real thing? By the early 80s, many states restricted or banned them, and one of America's most controversial candies quietly disappeared. A few companies still make simple candy sticks for nostalgia, but without the cigarette-style packaging or powder puff smoke. They no longer carry the forbidden thrill of playing adult. For those who once dangled a candy cigarette in 1965, the memory now brings a bittersweet smile, a sweet childhood game, and a clear sign of how much America has changed. 18. Chocolate soldiers, the chocolate milk in soldier bottles. If you grew up in mid-century America, you probably remember chocolate soldiers, chocolate milk in thick brown glass bottles, with a name that sounded straight out of the battlefield. On hot summer afternoons, after a backyard baseball game or a run at the local park, kids would dash into the corner store or train station, drop a few coins into the vending machine, and grab an ice-cold chocolate soldiers. The coolest part was where you bought it. Chocolate soldiers were everywhere in train stations and vending machines. For kids, that was a modern thrill. popping open the glass bottle, drinking the cold chocolate milk, and then dropping the empty bottle back into the rack. It was a whole ritual of childhood. But Coca-Cola, and later Nesquik, took over the sweet drink market, and chocolate soldiers lost its ground. People still drink chocolate milk, but that image of the glass soldier bottles standing tall in the vending machine disappeared. What's left now is only the memory of a simple, refreshing taste of youth, something no carton or plastic bottle can ever replace. 17. Marathon Bar, the endless chocolate bar. Some snacks didn't just fill your stomach, they fired up your imagination. Marathon Bar was one of those. In 1973, Mars released a truly unique creation, a chocolate bar twisted into an incredible 8 inches long, so long that the wrapper had a real ruler printed on it to prove it. Kids didn't even need to eat it right away. Just pulling that endless sweet weapon out of a lunchbox or pocket made friends gape in awe. On the playground or at the movies, whoever had a marathon bar was automatically the coolest kid around. The taste was just as special. Stretchy caramel wrapped in milk, chocolate twisted into a sugary maze. Every bite was a challenge, chewing slowly, stretching out the fun. Some kids even turned it into a real marathon, seeing who could eat the slowest and make it last the longest. But that extravagance came at a price for the company. The long caramel and twisted chocolate coating drove up production costs, while the selling price stayed close to regular candy bars. By the early 1980s, the Marathon Bar was discontinued, leaving a huge hole in childhood memory. Mars bars and Snickers are still everywhere, but none recreate that marathon feeling. The thrill of holding a ridiculously long candy bar, eating it bit by bit, like joining an endless game. The Marathon Bar is gone, but for anyone who grew up in the 70s, it remains a sweet symbol of childhood, when one candy bar could make an ordinary Sunday feel extraordinary. 16. Oompas, candy that stepped out of the movies. Some candies weren't just made to eat, they were made to surprise, and Oompas was one of them. Launched in the 1970s, right when the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory had American kids obsessed with the fantasy world of sweets, Oompas were released by the Wonka Company as a movie candy come to life. Kids eagerly tore open the shiny foil wrapper and bit into a round chocolate shell to find a tangy fruit filling bursting inside. Sweet yet sour, familiar yet strange. That contrast made Oompas unlike any other chocolate candy of its time. But reality was harsh. Low sales killed the product after only a few years. Today, no Oompas boxes remain on store shelves, just fond recollections and debates on retro candy forums, where die-hard fans still describe its sharp sweetness and fruity tang as a memory that never quite faded. 15. Space food sticks, the astronaut dream in a snack. There was a time when American kids looked up at the night sky, and their biggest dream wasn't to be a singer or a baseball player, but to fly to the moon with the Apollo astronauts. And then, a little snack box brought that dream within reach. Space food sticks. Launched in 1969, the very year Neil Armstrong took his first steps on the moon, this product was developed by Pillsbury in partnership with NASA. Advertising campaigns loudly proclaimed it as space food, emphasizing that this was the same snack astronauts carried on their epic journey. The long, chewy brown sticks, wrapped in shiny silver foil, looked like something that had fallen straight from outer space onto the American dinner table. For kids, it wasn't just a snack, it was a ticket to play astronaut. On the playground, children would share space food sticks, chewing proudly as they boasted, "I'm eating just like a real astronaut." That simple candy bar, suddenly became a zero-gravity adventure. Grown-ups were caught up in it too, because in the moment when America beat the Soviets in the space race, anything stamped with Apollo carried the glow of national pride. But the Apollo glow eventually faded. After the moon landings ended, public excitement cooled. Space food sticks lost their astronaut aura and quickly disappeared from store shelves. Today, protein bars and energy bars are everywhere in America, from gyms to office desks. They're convenient, nutritious, and come in endless variety. But none of them capture that innocent sense of adventure, the feeling that by tearing open silver foil and biting into a chewy sweet, you'd already taken half a step towards space. 14. 7. Up Candy Bar. 7 sweet surprises in one bite. For American kids in the 50s and 60s, the 7-Up candy bar was like a sugary game of chance. Peel back the foil, and 7 shiny little squares lined up, ready to be passed around under the kitchen light. One kid might squeal with joy at gooey caramel, another smile at a crunchy almond center, while someone else groaned after biting into dried coconut, and then laughed at their bad luck. The fun wasn't about which flavor was the best, but the surprise waiting in every bite. Few people know that Pearson's designed this bar with a family in mind. One candy bar, fun for everyone. At a time when kids often had to share small portions, the 7-Up candy bar felt almost luxurious, like a little party in your hands. But cramming 7 different fillings into one bar was a nightmare on the production line. By the late 70s, the costs were too high and the bar was discontinued. Today's kids have endless candy choices, but none recreate the thrill of a sweet sharing game. The 7-Up candy bar disappeared, leaving behind the memory of a treat that made childhood feel like a candy-coated festival. 12. Fizzies. Little tablets that turned water into soda. Few 1950s snacks got kids as excited as Fizzies. Created in 1957 by Emerson Drug Company, they looked just like small vitamins. But drop one into a glass of water, and it fizzed and bubbled, turning plain tap water into soda flavored with orange, grape, cherry, or lemon. For kids, it was pure kitchen magic. Many Americans still recall sitting around the dinner table with purple or red glasses of Fizzies, giggling over the joy of making your own soda like little scientists. Some parents even slipped them into lunchboxes to make a ham sandwich meal more fun. During the space race era, these fizzy tablets were also symbols of modern science, like the future in a glass. But by the late 1960s, Fizzy's luck fizzled. When the FDA raised concerns about the artificial sweetener saccharin, they were pulled off the shelves. To kids, it was baffling. Why had their soda magic suddenly vanished? Canned sodas now fill every aisle in America, but none offer the same at-home transformation. For anyone born in the 50s or 60s, dropping a Fizzy's tablet into water and watching the bubbles rise is still a vivid slice of childhood. A simple, sweet, futuristic little game. 11. PB Max. The peanut butter cookie that felt fancy. For kids in the early 90s, PB Max wasn't just a candy bar. It was a status symbol. Any kid who pulled one out at lunch instantly became the center of attention. A sweet chocolate layer, crunchy cookie, and a thick slab of creamy peanut butter so rich that one bite filled the whole lunch table with its smell. TV ads painted PB Max as the candy bar for those who wanted something delicious, yet a little upscale. The sad twist? PB Max was actually a success. It didn't fail. In fact, it once rivaled Snickers in sales. But its fate was sealed for one odd reason. The Mars family chairman hated peanut butter. And so, because of one man's dislike, a beloved product for millions of American kids was pulled from the shelves. Even so, retro candy fans still recall the joy of sinking their teeth into that thick peanut butter filling. No other snack was quite as crunchy, creamy, and fancy at the same time. And because of its unfair demise, PB Max isn't just remembered as a candy. It's remembered as a legend taken too soon from an entire generation's childhood. 10. Peanut Butter Boppers, the crunchy snack stick. In the flashy TV ad era of the 1980s, a snack appeared that many American kids treasured in their lunchboxes: peanut butter boppers. It wasn't just a candy bar. It was a long snack tube filled with peanut butter and rolled in crunchy bits or candy sprinkles. With pop music blaring in commercials, kids danced on screen while biting into boppers, making it look so cool that everyone wanted one. The most special part of boppers was its unusual shape. A long stick that was part candy, part cereal bar, totally different from Snickers or Reese's. It felt like a hybrid between sweet treat and crunchy snack, giving kids the sense they were eating something brand new, more exciting than ordinary candy bars. But boppers spoiled easily and cost too much to produce. By the late 80s, they vanished, leaving kids disappointed. Nothing since has really replaced them, and that uniqueness is what made boppers a short-lived but unforgettable snack legend. 9. Pink popcorn, the fairground's pink queen. Before caramel corn or cotton candy ruled American fairs, there was a time when pink popcorn was the queen of color. In the 1940s and 50s, kids went to the county fair hoping to hold a bag of shiny pink popcorn. Each kernel was coated in bright pink sugar, sticking to little fingers that sparkled under the neon lights. What kids loved most was the color. At a time when candy was usually just white, brown, or yellow, pink popcorn felt like a princess dream. Little girls hugged their bags of pink treats, giggling as streaks of sugar left marks on their cheeks. Couples bought a bag to share, making it a sweet date night memory. But by the 1960s, caramel corn became the new standard, and cotton candy offered a fluffier, lighter magic. Pink popcorn faded to the sidelines, surviving only in memory. Sometimes you can still spot pink popcorn at retro fairs or old-fashioned candy shops. One bite of its sharp sweetness instantly takes you back. Twinkling lights, the sound of carnival music, and sticky pink hands. A dreamy slice of 1940s to 50s America. 7. Kugel Peanut Butter, the fruity peanut butter experiment. In the 1970s, when peanut butter was already a staple in every American kitchen, Kraft decided to stir things up with Kugel peanut butter, a flavored peanut butter in banana, strawberry, chocolate, and vanilla. Just twisting open the lid released a sugary artificial scent that turned breakfast into a mini experiment. Kids loved spreading banana-flavored peanut butter over white bread, like eating dessert first thing in the morning. Kugel was ahead of its time. It predicted the rise of flavored spreads, something that wouldn't really take off until decades later, with Nutella and other creative products. But Kugel was too sweet and didn't win long-term fans. By the late 70s, it quietly disappeared from supermarkets. Today, Nutella dominates the world, while Kugel lingers only as a short-lived but bold memory. Not every ahead-of-its-time idea makes it through. Wax bottles. Nick L. Nips. Bite the wax, drink the syrup. If any snack sparked both curiosity and delight for American kids in the 1950s and 60s, it was Nick L. Nips. For just 5 cents, kids could buy a pack of tiny bottles made of colored wax, red, orange, blue, or yellow, filled with sweet syrup. The name said it all. Nick L for nickel, and nip for bite. Eating them was half the fun. Kids bit off the top with a satisfying pop, sipped the syrup, then chewed the wax bottle like gum. To them, it was a game. Drink, chew, and show off your colorful bottle to friends. On school playgrounds, picnics, or at the corner store, Nick L. Nips were unforgettable childhood treasures. What made them special was the two-in-one experience, both a drink and a chew. For kids, it was a novelty like nothing else. But parents often shook their heads. What's tasty about eating wax? And over time, tastes shifted. By the late 70s, Nick L. Nips had nearly vanished from shelves. You can still find them today in retro candy shops or online, mainly for nostalgic fans. They're no longer common, but just seeing a row of tiny wax bottles brings back that moment. Biting off the cap, syrup spilling out, and childhood suddenly returning. 6. Pixie Sticks. The rip you never forget. Just the sound of tearing open a colorful paper tube is enough to make a whole generation of Americans remember the mischievous thrill of Pixie Sticks. Originally created in the late 1940s as a powdered drink mix, kids quickly discovered it was way more fun to skip the water and pour it straight into their mouths. Soon, those little tubes filled with neon sugar powder became a playground craze. Bite off the end, tip it back, and a rush of tingling sweetness flooded your tongue. A mix of silly and addictive. By the 1970s, however, Pixie Sticks came under fire. Parents called it pure sugar in disguise, warning of cavities and sugar highs. The product slowly disappeared, replaced by pressed candies like Smarties. But for that earlier generation, the memory of tearing open the tube, lips coated in colored sugar, laughing with friends remains as vivid as ever. 5. Push-up Pops, summer's sweetest game. Hot American summers of childhood can't be separated from the image of a small hand slowly pushing up a colorful frozen treat. Push-up Pops, introduced in the 1960s, quickly became stars of ice cream trucks and grocery freezers. Just pop the plastic lid, press your thumb on the bottom, and a cold, round cylinder of sherbet slid up, refreshing, sweet, and strangely fun. For kids, it wasn't just ice cream. It was a summer game. Trying to eat before it dripped, laughing while watching Saturday morning cartoons, and showing off sticky fingers. Push-up Pops turned a simple frozen snack into a playful childhood ritual. By the late 1980s, though, newer frozen novelties on sticks pushed them aside. Nestlé revived them briefly, but the taste and feel were never the same. Today, when people talk about Push-Up Pops, they don't mention flavor. They remember an entire carefree summer where a simple paper tube could spark pure happiness. 4. Fruit Stripe Gum, the rainbow chewing gum. There may never have been another pack of gum that made American kids squeal with excitement like Fruit Stripe. Born in the early 1960s, each little pack came not only with brightly striped rainbow gum sticks, but also with bonus water transfer tattoos. Magic stickers kids treasured like gold. A familiar scene was recess. When one kid tore open a pack, friends crowded around, sharing gum while racing to stick Yipes the tiger or other cartoon designs on their arms. The funny truth was that the flavor, though explosive at first, only lasted about 5 minutes. But no one complained, because the fun wasn't just in chewing, it was in the ritual of opening, sharing, and showing off stickers. By the 1990s, Fruit Stripe faded as longer-lasting gums like Big Red and Hubba Bubba took over. These days, it drifts around retro candy shops but without the tattoos, and of course, without that sense of magic. For the kids of the 60s through 80s, Fruit Stripe gum will always be a bridge of memory, where a fleeting sweetness blended into lasting joy. 3. Screaming Yellow Zonkers, the wild yellow popcorn. In 1968, while caramel corn still reigned supreme, a bright yellow box of popcorn called Screaming Yellow Zonkers suddenly stole the spotlight in American movie theaters. It wasn't just a snack, it was a cultural phenomenon. The packaging was packed with snarky jokes and silly slogans like "Eat it" and "Scream," cracking up kids and teens before the movie even began. The box itself was like a mini comic book to read while waiting for the film. Inside, the popcorn was coated in dazzling yellow sugar, leaving kids' fingers sparkling like they'd been playing with magic dust. One fun fact, it was among the first American snacks to use self-deprecating humor in advertising, ahead of its time in how it spoke to young people. But after a few years, caramel corn and heavyweights like Cracker Jack won the market, and Screaming Yellow Zonkers slipped into obscurity. Today, it's mostly remembered in quirky retro snack lists, cherished more for its witty packaging than its taste. It's proof that once upon a time, snacks weren't just for eating, they were for laughing, for showing off personality. 2. Hostess Chocodiles, Twinkies in chocolate armor. If Twinkies were already the king of American snack cakes, then Chocodiles were the level 2 version. Released in the 1970s, Chocodiles were simply Twinkies, covered in a crisp chocolate shell. For kids, it was the ultimate upgrade. That sweet coating wrapped around the soft cream center created an instant wow with the very first bite. The clearest memory is of kids rushing out of school in the afternoon, stopping by the corner store, buying a Chocodile, and eating it fast on the walk home. Sticky chocolate fingers, big grins, and the crumpled wrapper shoved into a backpack. For many 70s kids, it was the taste of school days. But there was a problem. Chocodiles didn't stay fresh for long. Twinkies were famous for lasting forever, but once coated in chocolate, they melted easily or spoiled faster. That kept them from wide distribution. And by the late 1980s, Chocodiles had vanished. Hostess tried reviving them a few times in limited runs. Each time, they sparked a frenzy among nostalgia fans. People hunted down boxes, sharing childhood memories. Chocodiles may no longer be common, but they became a sweet legend. Just hearing the name brings a whole generation back to those sweet afternoons after school. 1. Doodads, the snack mix of the black and white TV era. In the 1960s, when the black and white TV was the centerpiece of every American living room, Doodads showed up as the perfect companion. Just turn on The Andy Griffith Show or Bonanza, and the family had a bowl of Doodads ready to grab. Inside was a crunchy mix: tiny crackers, pretzels, seasoned cereal bits. For kids, the fun was digging for their favorite piece in the big bowl. For parents, the joy was convenience. Tear open the bag, and the evening snack was ready. The interesting part is that Doodads was actually the forerunner of today's Chex Mix. Before Chex ever promoted its recipe, Doodads had already won over American families with the novelty of a snack mix, something fresher than traditional candy or cookies. Many people still remember the salty burst of onion and garlic flavor clinging to their fingers with every handful. But by the 1980s, Chex Mix surged ahead with big ad campaigns, and Doodads slowly disappeared from store shelves. Those who grew up in the 60s and 70s still say, nothing beats Doodads on a family TV night. Chex Mix still fills supermarket aisles, but to many Americans, it lacks the simple, homey spirit of Doodads. Just hearing the name brings back the 60s. A living room lit by TV glow, laughter ringing out, and a bowl of snacks being passed from dad to mom, from brother to sister. Danish Go-Rounds, the predecessor of the legendary breakfast snack. For American kids in the late 1960s, rushed mornings were marked by the pop of a toaster in the kitchen. Danish go-rounds, launched in 1968, were fruit-filled pastry rolls in flavors like apple, strawberry, and cinnamon, designed specifically to be toasted, quick, warm, and sweet. Kids grabbed one while slinging on their school bag, munching it hot on the way to the bus, considering it a modern breakfast, far more convenient than homemade pastries. What few realized was that this was the direct ancestor of Pop-Tarts, which would later become the legendary American breakfast snack. But Danish go-rounds couldn't compete once Kellogg's launched Pop-Tarts with bigger ad campaigns, more flavors, and better prices. By 1975, Danish go-rounds quietly disappeared. Today, people remember it as the grandfather of toaster snacks, a witness to the dawn of the fast breakfast era, when the toaster became an icon of the American kitchen. And so we've taken a journey back through America's childhood, revisiting the little snacks that once lit up kids' eyes, but have since disappeared. The flavors may have faded, but the memories remain alive in the hearts of those who lived them. What about you? Which snack takes you back to your childhood, to an America that feels so far away now? Share your memories in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the little bell, so every week you can open another door to nostalgia, returning to those pieces of the past we thought were gone forever.